Imagine this, you're sitting in a cozy coffee shop, the kind where the aroma of freshly brewed espresso wraps around you like a warm blanket, and across from you is the woman you've secretly admired for months. You crack a joke, something light-hearted about finally mustering the courage to ask her out one day. She smiles, but then her eyes lock onto yours, and she whispers, "Doesn't it bother you that I'm older?" Your heart stops. What do you say? What happens next? Stick around, because this story is about to take you on an emotional roller coaster that might just change how you see love forever. It all started in the bustling halls of a community college in a small town called Evergreen. I was Alex, a 25-year-old graphic design student, juggling part-time jobs and dreams of making it big in the art world. Life was a whirlwind of deadlines, cheap ramen, and late-night sketches. That's where I first met Elena. She was 32, a literature professor with a passion for classic novels and a smile that could light up the darkest lecture hall. She wasn't just older, she carried herself with a quiet confidence that came from years of navigating life's twists and turns. I'd see her in the faculty lounge or grading papers in the library, her dark hair falling over her shoulders as she lost herself in a book. I was drawn to her like a moth to a flame, but I kept my distance. After all, what would a young guy like me have in common with someone so accomplished? One rainy afternoon, I was in the campus cafe, nursing a lukewarm coffee and doodling on a napkin. Elena walked in, shaking off her umbrella, her cheeks flushed from the downpour. Our eyes met, and she waved. Before I knew it, she was sitting across from me, complaining about the weather and how it always ruined her plans for outdoor reading. We talked for hours. About books, art, even our favorite childhood memories. It was effortless, like we'd known each other forever. As the rain pounded against the windows, I felt a spark. But then, just as the conversation lulled, I blurted out a joke to break the silence. "You know, one day I'm going to work up the nerve to ask you out properly." She laughed, but her expression shifted. "Doesn't it bother you that I'm older?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. My stomach dropped. Was this the end before it even began? I froze, the words hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Part of me wanted to brush it off, say age was just a number, but I could see the vulnerability in her eyes. Elena wasn't asking out of insecurity, she was testing the waters, revealing a piece of her past that I hadn't anticipated. I learned later that she'd been through a tough divorce 5 years ago, from a man who couldn't handle her ambitions or the fact that she was building a career while he stagnated. The age difference with me? It was a shield, a way to protect herself from another heartbreak. But in that moment, I just smiled and said, "Bother me? Elena, you're the most vibrant person I've ever met. Age doesn't define that." She looked away, but I saw a flicker of hope. Little did I know, that simple exchange was the spark that would ignite a firestorm of emotions, challenges, and ultimately, transformation. As weeks turned into months, our casual coffee chats evolved into something deeper. We'd meet after classes, strolling through the town's leaf-strewn parks, sharing stories from our lives. I opened up about my own insecurities, growing up in a broken home, where my parents' constant fighting made me wary of relationships. Elena listened without judgment, her empathy like a balm on old wounds. She shared her dreams of writing her own novel, inspired by the classics she taught, but held back by the fear of failure after her marriage crumbled. We were relatable in our flaws, me, the impulsive dreamer chasing validation through art, her, the cautious intellectual guarding her heart. But the age gap loomed like an unspoken shadow. Friends whispered, family questioned. My best buddy, Mike, pulled me aside one day. "Dude, she's got 7 years on you. What if she wants kids soon? You're just starting out." It planted seeds of doubt, making me wonder if I was ready for the maturity she brought to the table. Then came our first real date. I planned it meticulously, a picnic under the stars at the local observatory, complete with her favorite wine and a sketch I'd drawn of her from memory. As we lay on the blanket, gazing at constellations, she turned to me. "Alex, I need to know if this is real for you. I've been the older woman before, and it ended in resentment." Her words hit hard, forcing me to confront my own fears. Was I idealizing her? Or was this genuine connection? I assured her it was, but deep down, uncertainty gnawed at me. We kissed that night, soft and tentative, the stars bearing witness. But as I drove home, a text from my mom popped up. "Heard about your professor friend. Be careful, son. Life's not a fairy tale." The doubt intensified. What if the world tore us apart before we even had a chance? The first major challenge hit like a freight train. Elena's ex-husband, David, resurfaced. He'd heard through mutual friends about her seeing someone younger and decided to stir the pot. He showed up at her office one day, feigning concern but really just trying to reclaim control. "You're making a fool of yourself with that kid," he sneered. Elena told me about it over dinner, her hands trembling as she recounted the encounter. It reopened old scars, memories of his belittling, his jealousy over her success. I wanted to protect her, but I felt powerless. That night, we argued for the first time. "Maybe he's right," she said, tears streaming. "What if I'm holding you back?" I stormed out, frustration boiling over. Was our age difference amplifying every insecurity? Or was it just an excuse for deeper issues? As I wandered the empty streets, rain soaking through my jacket, I realized this could be the breaking point. Would we survive this ghost from her past? Days blurred into a tense silence. I threw myself into my art, sketching furious portraits of Elena that captured her strength and fragility. Mike tried to cheer me up with guys' nights out, but my mind was elsewhere. Elena, meanwhile, buried herself in work, grading papers until dawn to avoid the emptiness. We both knew we needed space, but the separation ached like a physical wound. Then, one evening, I found a note slipped under my door. "Meet me at the cafe. We need to talk." My heart raced. Was this goodbye? I arrived early, nerves jangling, only to find her waiting with 2 coffees and a tentative smile. "I've been thinking," she said. David's words hurt because they echoed my fears, not because they're true. "But I can't do this if we're not honest." We talked for hours, peeling back layers of vulnerability. I admitted my worries about the future, career pressures, societal judgments. She shared her regrets from her marriage, how she'd lost herself trying to fit someone else's mold. In that raw conversation, we found resolution, a promise to face challenges together, not as obstacles defined by age, but as partners building something real. But life wasn't done testing us. The second cliffhanger came during a family gathering. My sister was getting married, and I invited Elena as my +1. The event was a whirlwind of relatives, toasts, and dancing. At first, it was magical. Elena charmed everyone with her wit and stories. But then, during dinner, my aunt cornered us. "So, Elena, you're a professor? Must be nice having a young admirer." The table fell silent, judgmental eyes darting our way. Elena handled it gracefully, but I saw the hurt in her expression. Later, as we drove home, she broke down. "I felt like an outsider, Alex. Like I'm too old for your world." It shattered me. Had I been naive, dragging her into my family's scrutiny? That night, doubts resurfaced stronger than ever. What if love wasn't enough to bridge the gap? We navigated that storm by seeking solace in small acts of reaffirmation. I surprised her with a weekend getaway to a quiet cabin in the woods, where we hiked trails and read aloud from her favorite books. Away from prying eyes, we reconnected on a soul level. Elena opened up about her biological clock. How at 32, she worried about starting a family later, while I, at 25, was still figuring out my path. It was a heavy conversation, filled with tears and fears, but it led to a breakthrough. We decided to take things slow, focusing on the present rather than forcing a timeline. Age is just chapters in our stories, she said one evening by the fire. Ours might not align perfectly, but together, we can write a beautiful book. Her words inspired me, shifting my perspective from doubt to determination. As our relationship deepened, more challenges arose, each building emotional layers. Work demands pulled us in opposite directions. Elena's tenure review loomed, stressful and all-consuming, while I landed my first big freelance gig, requiring late nights and travel. Jealousy crept in when I saw her laughing with colleagues closer to her age, and she admitted similar pangs when I hung out with my younger friends. But we resolved these by establishing rituals, weekly date nights, no matter what, honest check-ins where we voiced insecurities without blame. These habits fostered trust, turning potential rifts into opportunities for growth. One particularly poignant moment came during a stormy night when power outages hit the town. We huddled in her apartment with candles and blankets, sharing secrets we'd never told anyone. Elena confessed her fear of aging alone, shaped by watching her parents' loveless marriage. I revealed my abandonment issues from my father's absence. In the flickering light, we vowed to be each other's anchor, proving that emotional depth trumped any calendar difference. It was relatable. Who hasn't felt the sting of past traumas in a new love? Our story wasn't perfect, it was human. The final cliffhanger unfolded during a pivotal trip to New York City. I'd been offered a job at a prestigious design firm, a dream come true, but it meant relocating. Elena encouraged me, but the distance terrified us both. On our last night there, atop the Empire State Building, wind whipping around us, I got down on one knee, not to propose marriage, but to ask for her commitment to make it work, no matter the miles. Elena, age bothered me once, but not anymore. You've taught me that love isn't about timelines, it's about choosing each other every day. She hesitated, tears glistening. What if we can't bridge this gap? The city lights blurred below. Would this be our undoing? In the end, we chose love over fear. Elena took a sabbatical to join me in New York, using the time to finally write her novel. The move wasn't easy, culture shock, new routines, missing home, but it strengthened us. We faced judgments head-on, from snide comments at parties to well-meaning advice from friends. Yet, each resolution brought us closer. Therapy sessions to unpack baggage, joint adventures to create new memories. My art flourished with her as my muse, and her book, inspired by our story, became a bestseller about defying societal norms. Years later, looking back, our journey taught me that true love isn't hindered by age, it's enriched by the wisdom and passion each person brings. Elena and I built a life together, marriage, a cozy home filled with books and sketches, even a child who inherited our blended spirits. The inspiring message? Don't let numbers dictate your heart. Embrace the differences, face the challenges, and watch love transform you in ways you never imagined. It's not about being the same age, it's about being on the same page. If this story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe for more heartfelt tales that remind us love knows no bounds. Thanks for watching.